You opened the door and walked into the house. You heard a sound, or maybe you didn't. The bird is just sitting there on its perch in the cage. It's been alone for a long time, but when you look at it, everything seems normal. Nothing's happened. There's no problem, you tell yourself. Most budgie owners consider this normal. It was just left alone for a bit. After all, there's food and water in the cage. What's the big deal? But you're not aware of it. You actually caused the most harm to your bird right then, but you have no idea. Because contrary to what you think, parakeets aren't creatures that enjoy solitude or can get used to it. For them, silence is frightening. It's a threat. Fortunately, you've come across this video. Now you'll be able to quickly interpret your parakeet's behavior and take the necessary precautions without delay. And by the time you reach the final point, you'll fully understand exactly what your parakeet is trying to say. 1. It's not a bird that gets used to silence. It's a bird that gives up. You come home. Your bird is just sitting there, not making a sound. You assume it feels safe inside its cage. You tell yourself there's no problem. But that's where you're making the biggest mistake. Because the truth is, parakeets are never silent. They live in flocks in the wild. If there's silence, it's a major danger to them. If a parakeet is very quiet, it's either sick or extremely frightened. Experts refer to this as learned helplessness. The bird keeps calling out but never gets a response. It keeps doing this for a while, but still gets no answer. Over time, it learns this lesson because there's no reaction from anywhere, and no one comes to its side. It is forced to fall silent and gives up calling out. This isn't called getting used to it. It's called giving up. The parakeet is actually saying, "I'm not waiting for anyone anymore. I've stopped waiting." Because no matter how much I call out, no one comes. There's no one there. I'm giving up on waiting. My parakeet, Mango, would sometimes be left alone. When I came home, he'd be very quiet, and I'd think there was no problem. But after losing him, I did a lot of research to learn the truth. And now I'm learning the truth. Even though it's too late for everything, I'm continuing to learn for the future. So what should you do? It's actually simple. When you come home, even if you're just passing by, call out to your bird. "Hello, sweetie." "Hello, darling." Say whatever comes to mind. Say its name. If you can't do that, whistle. Let your parakeet know you've heard it. This way you can make it feel safe. The next sign is even more concerning, because most of us misinterpret it. 2. The bird you thought was just chilled is actually frozen. Your parakeet has stopped coming to you. It won't even approach you. It keeps moving away from you. You might think, "I guess that's just my parakeet's personality. There's nothing I can do." You tell yourself it just takes time for it to get used to things. But the situation isn't what you think. Because this is usually the result of prolonged loneliness. Parakeets are social animals. They must constantly renew their social bonds. In other words, regular interaction is necessary. For a parakeet that's been alone for a long time, you've gone from being a reliable presence to an unpredictable, large object. Actually, many events we see as simple hold huge significance in their world. In my parakeet's eyes, falling into that category is a bad situation. I'm really upset with myself for leaving Mango alone. I wish I could have been there with him all the time. So what can you do about this? It's actually quite simple. Come sit with them a few times a day. Chat with them and talk to them. Tell them they're not alone, and make them feel that way. Because they need this, just like we humans do. The next sign is something most bird owners overlook. It's also the very thing they wonder about months later, asking why it happened. 3. The alarm under the feathers. The bird is plucking its feathers and scratching more than usual. It's repeatedly doing a movement it never did before. It's pacing back and forth on the perch, hitting the wires, and constantly repeating these actions. In other words, it's acting as if it's gone mad. Most parakeet owners assume it's doing this because it's upset about something, but the reality is completely different. First, you need to understand that these behaviors aren't due to a behavioral disorder or anything like that. They're actually a sign that it's trying to cope with something. Veterinarians refer to the repetitive movements that budgies often exhibit as stereotypical behavior. One of the main triggers for this is leaving a budgie alone for long periods of time. As you can see, loneliness is actually at the root of it all. As you can see, most of the issues we perceive as problems actually stem from us not paying enough attention to them, or not paying the attention they deserve. Leaving them alone leads to many problems. Your parakeet is trying to cope mentally. And these movements they make that seem like they're going crazy from the outside clearly indicate that an alarm has gone off inside. And one of the worst parts is that if these incidents continue for a long time, it becomes so much harder to reverse the situation. If you notice this, take immediate action. Otherwise, it might be too late. My parakeet used to do these things in the cage. I'd think, he must be going crazy, as he'd dart around everywhere and make nonsensical movements. Now I understand the truth. So what can you do? How can you fix it? Putting a small toy in the cage should be the first step, but that's never enough. You need to pay attention to your parakeet, talk to it, and be there for it. If you do these things, you'll see it improve over time. And one of the striking points on this list really explains everything. Listen carefully to this point, because it will completely change your perspective. Here's one of the most important points. I think you absolutely need to know this. 4. What your parrot is telling you. When parrots are left alone, they start exhibiting very strange behaviors. Their chirping decreases, their movements slow down, and their interest wanes significantly. And when you, feeling bothered by this, walk past your bird, it won't look at you, won't make a sound, and won't pay you any attention at all. You'll think, it's not interested in me anymore. But that's exactly where everything turns upside down, because when you pay attention to it, your parakeet doesn't know if this is safe. In other words, it's not sure. Bird behaviorists make this very clear. For parakeets, trust isn't something you give or show just once in a while. It's a long-term process. It's more than just a fleeting feeling. In other words, you have to keep doing it. You have to keep showing them attention. When you give this attention every day, the bird will eventually come to trust you. When you call out to it or show interest, the bird will eventually think, yes, my owner is back. They're paying attention to me now. But when you're away, this trust erodes, slowly, without you even noticing. Your bird is actually constantly asking you, are you here? And here's the good news. This can be answered. I understand my parakeet Mango better now. Even though it's too late, even though I've lost him, I'm learning for his sake, even though it's too late. Yes, if you've read this far, I have some good news for you. You're not like most people, because the average budgie owner would just say, my bird eats, drinks, everything's fine. But it's not that simple. You care about your bird's health and well-being. You're curious about every little thing it does. Your budgie is truly lucky, because you've learned all this. Don't forget, the only thing your parakeet needs is you, your voice, your presence, your eyes. Even a little bit of the attention you show. Let it be small but sincere, and let it be consistent. Before we meet again in the next video, don't forget to subscribe and support the channel. See you soon. Thank you.